All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are talking about a mental model, a framework so powerful it might just change how you see, well, everything, from the business you run to what's going on in your own mind. It's a toolkit for becoming a true system architect.
I mean, think about it for a second. How do you really make sense of a sprawling company, or a delicate ecosystem, or heck, even the constant chatter inside your own head? When there are a million moving parts, all interconnected, where do you even start to look for some kind of order? That's the big question we're tackling today.
Well, the answer, according to this framework, is you stop looking at things as a straight line. You start seeing them as a circle. And this is where the Ouroboros framework comes in. And yeah, it's named after that incredible ancient symbol of the serpent eating its own tail. It's a special kind of map that shows us how nothing ever really goes away. Every end is always a new beginning.
So how do we use this map? Well, we're going to go on a journey together, what the framework calls a guided ascent. We're going to climb a 9-level pyramid of understanding. Think of yourself as an apprentice. We'll start right at the base and work our way all the way to the very summit.
So here's our game plan for the climb. First, we're going to get a handle on the serpent's loop itself. Then we'll be mapping the terrain, we'll meet the system's inhabitants, fire up the engine of change, and finally, we're reaching the summit. Ready? Let's go.
All right, first up, the serpent's loop. This is the absolute foundation. Before we can even think about analyzing any part of a system, we have to accept one fundamental rule. Everything is connected in a closed loop, period.
We're at level 0, the base of the whole pyramid, the whole. And the absolute best way to picture this is as a sealed terrarium. It's its own little world, completely self-contained. This is huge because it means there is no away. You can't just throw things out. Every single output, every action, eventually boomerangs back around to become a new input.
And this whole terrarium is held up by 4 crucial pillars, kind of like the legs on a table. You've got unity, that's the gravity keeping it all from flying apart. Then there's balance, which acts like a thermostat, keeping things from getting too hot or too cold. Symmetry gives it structure, the scaffolding. And then there's paradox, and this one's really cool. It's that creative tension, that necessary friction that sparks all the change and stops the system from just getting stuck.
Okay, so we get it. The system is a closed loop. Now our climb really begins. It's time for stage 2, mapping the terrain inside that loop. We're going to start charting the cause and effect.
The very first thing you do when you start mapping is split the world in 2. On one side, you have the static elements. Think of this as the stage itself, the unchangeable rules, the laws of physics, a company's legal charter. It's the stuff that just is. And on the other side, you have the dynamic elements. These are the actors moving around on the stage, the culture, the market trends, the constant flow of events. This is the stuff that's always become.
And this is where the framework gets incredibly practical. It gives us these buckets to sort every force you can imagine. You've got the internal known, that's your deliberate strategy, your 5-year plan. Then you've got the random unknown. Bam, a server crashes out of nowhere, or you have a sudden stroke of genius. And at the far end, you've got the unpredictable distant. We're talking about those black swan events, the things that just change the entire game. Being a system architect means learning to see all of these forces.
We've mapped the forces. Now let's climb to level 4 and actually meet the inhabitants, the different archetypes of parts that make up any system.
First, you've got the autonomous part. This one's pretty easy to grasp. It's a self-contained unit that has its own agenda, its own internal drive. It could be a single person, a specific company, or even a single atom. It acts based on its own logic.
Then you have the systemic part. Now this is different. It's not really an actor with its own desires. It's the scaffolding. It's the brick in the wall, the server in the network, the rule in the rulebook. Its entire purpose is to provide structure and support for everything else.
And finally, my favorite, the emergent part. This is where the magic happens. This isn't something you can just point to. It arises from the interaction of all the other parts, creating something totally new, something on a higher level. Think about it. Consciousness isn't in one neuron, right? It emerges from millions of them firing together. It's a total game changer.
Okay, now we are getting to the heart of the pyramid, the engine room. Levels 5 and 6 show us the 2 powerful competing forces that drive a system toward either staying the same or totally transforming.
So get this, every single healthy system needs both of these modes to function. Level 5 is the thermostat. It uses negative feedback to keep things stable and predictable, to suppress any weird deviations. But level 6, that's the controlled forest fire.
It uses positive feedback to amplify small changes, clearing away the old to make room for new growth. A system needs the thermostat for day-to-day survival, but it absolutely needs the forest fire for long-term evolution.
And that level 6 revolution, it follows this really elegant 3-step dance. It all starts with a little spark, just some random event that messes with the status quo. The system tries to stamp it out, but can't. That spark then grows into a full-blown disruption, until finally the entire system is forced to shift and reorganize itself around a completely new reality.
We've made it. We're on the final ascent now. This is where we stop looking at individual parts and forces, and we start to see the entire system as one single, unified whole. Up here at the summit, you gain some incredible new abilities. At level 7, you learn to see and untangle wicked problems. You know, those deep, messy knots where every solution you try just creates a new problem somewhere else. Then, at level 8, you go beyond just taking things apart. You achieve synthesis, this holistic vision where all the contradictions resolve and the system just floats.
And this brings us to the very peak, level 9, and the framework calls it the Radiant Chomp. It's this profound, beautiful moment when the serpent closes the loop and eats its own tail. But here's the key. It's not just a reset. The end becomes a new, higher-level beginning, transformed by everything it learned on the journey. This is how chaos becomes the fuel for evolution.
So, after this whole climb, what's the ultimate takeaway? It's a huge shift in perspective. It's the idea that process is substance. Reality isn't just a collection of static things. The system isn't the serpent. It's the continuous recursive act of doing, of consuming and recreating itself over and over again.
And that leaves us with one final big question for you to ponder. At the very peak of any system is its singular truth, that core, irreducible why that drives everything. So take a moment and look at the most important system in your world, your career, your family, your own mind. What is its singular truth?